you hiding here in the near clear blue?
He's been cited by IGN, The Quartering, Timcast, The Daily Wire, Bounding into Comics, and even Dr. Jordan B. Peterson.
What?
Hey, the Pro Show is on!
Awesome! Let's turn it on.
Guys? Where'd you go?
Morty, let's check in on Ryan Johnson's new trilogy.
Okay. I bypassed the compressor.
What did you do, Ray?
Son of a... That's gonna leave a mark.
Now, he was okay, after 6-7 weeks. Okay? They get over it. Kids are resilient like that.
Yeah. I hate it.
It's the standard, what would George do?
I don't want you here.
So sorry, George. I didn't think it would go like this.
Fly, you fools!
I've fallen, and I can't get up.
Weird. Stay away from liquor, kids.
I have always liked Cowabunga.
Cowabunga!
Now that's more like it, Mr. Wayne.
It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward.
The Force will be with you, always.
That's how winning is done.
I am vengeance. I am the knight.
That's what she said.
I am Batman.
If I won tonight, I would come home and we'd celebrate. Well, I'm coming home, we're celebrating. God bless you all.
Watch your habits, for they become your character. And watch your character, for it becomes your destiny. What we think, we become.
It's scooping time.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, in just 2 minutes, the lighting at the Magic Kingdom will dim for the performance of the Pro Show. We hope you enjoy and have a magical, truthful time. For the safety of others, please, no flash photography. And welcome to Provision 3D.
Alright everyone, put on your opera glasses. Oh boy, Chop those now. I'm so excited.
Keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
You know that you've been taught the golden rule, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you.
Yes, Paul.
Autobots, roll out.
I'm bringing the party to you.
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money?
Fortune and glory, kid. Fortune and glory.
Chicken jockey.
All right, it's time to go to school, son. Come on, get your hands up, man.
Are you okay?
You'll never take our freedom!
From the redwoods of California to the hills of Tennessee to the Rockies in the Sunshine State and Maine with that bright and shining sea. From coast to coast in North America, it's time for your host with the most, bringing you all the entertainment news that should be fun. Ladies and gentlemen, It's the WDW Pro Show!
It's time to start the music. It's time to light the lights. It's time for another pro show, and this time not at night. Welcome, Culture Casino, bright and early. Bushy tailed and platinumly bearded, sir. How are you doing?
I'm great. Valiant started us off right this morning, and we're going to do our own analysis, I'm sure. But this is a good day. I don't mind starting a little early. I started my show early so I could bring everybody with me. So, hey, good morning.
Culture, was that not fortuitous as ever for Valiant that his mic decided to break on him at the last seconds of the show? I mean, can you imagine if we had tried to start the thing? One of the biggest days of the quarter for Valiant, his show, is doing these earnings calls. If the mic had broken in the beginning, would not have been a fun time, but it waited until the last minute or so, and here we go.
Yeah. Look, sometimes things are fortuitous. They're serendipity.
Find the silver lining, if you will. Folks, we've got a panel of excellence. We'll be bringing in LW Ghost in just a minute. We've got Fake Wizard joining us, if possible. And oh my gosh, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not yet watched Wizard's takedown of Angel Studios and what's going on there, you must, after this live stream, of course, but you must go see Fake Wizard's new account. Wall Street is in love with new CEO Josh D'Amaro, and we can understand why. We'll break it down for you and explain what's going on and how long the honeymoon will last. But look at this, folks. I mean, this is really, really incredible. Up almost 8%. The Walt Disney Company up almost 8% over yesterday at the closing. And guess what else, Culture? It came without a gimmick, right? I feel like the Grinch. It came without gimmicks. It came without announcements. It came without new theme parks or major new discounts. It came with, I can't keep going. I rhymed it one time. I better stop while I'm ahead. Culture, it's amazing to me. The last 2-3 years, every time Bob Iger steps out there with the investors, he's throwing something. It's Abu Dhabi Disney, right? Or it's we just did a deal for Fortnite. Or there's always something that's gonna it's gonna do it, and we get a pop and drop. Today, nothing but just pretty darn good, not great, but pretty darn good results for Josh D'Amaro first quarter. I think Tomorrowland might be here. What say you?
Well, I think the presentation was straightforward, as you pointed out. We've had a lot of gimmicks, a lot of elements announced in order to generate that pop and drop. But now I think we could be on a steady path forward. I think they indicated to investors and to fans alike that they are abandoning the old ways that were laden with too much political garbage, which means they're stepping away from the sequel trilogy for Star Wars specifically. And they released a traditional statement that we hadn't seen in a while. There was a lot more nuance in the statements that were being made, and I just feel like you don't need the hype garbage or centered around an announcement. You just tell people what you're going to do and why, and give them a realistic expectation of what to see in the future, and that changes everybody's perception and perspective.
Absolutely, 100%. And folks, if you want to know, the S&P 500, the broader market, is up over 1% today because of good news when it comes to Iran. You know how but it's up 1%. But this is a magnificent positive delta for Disney, up 8%. So you've got 7 points difference there, and quite good for Disney, quite good. And they handled this differently. I'd like to bring on a special guest as we continue, folks, our coverage of the Disney earnings call and a brand new D'Amaro upon us. Folks, you know him, you love him. Please welcome to the stage the guy who delivers the Hollywood insight we need. I'll play the clip, but you know who he is.
Who could that be? Let's go see, boys and girls.
Sorry, I'm fighting those epic headwinds to get in here.
That was a great thing. Hey, Lou, okay, so that's a good question to start off with. So we heard for the first time that epic is a problem for Disney. Now, they don't say it that way. They call it headwinds, right? But that's Wall Street speech for we got a problem. And they said, we're not going to have a problem because it's going to be 1 year that it's been over with. But okay, It's the first time Disney has admitted it. And they don't admit it in a way that the average person understands, but they admit it in a way that Wall Street understands, and that's good enough for now. So under Bob Iger, that would have never been allowed, Lou. They would have never said
well,
Epic.
Bob was never wrong. And this way, Bob was wrong. Josh isn't wrong.
Right.
So it works both ways, you know. Epic headwinds.
Again, how did that go, Lou?
I said, yeah, that's it. That's
I
either that or that's the sound of all the fountains they're tearing out and the rivers they're removing. One or the other. But I don't know.
Lou, what were your initial thoughts on?
Well, first of all, they took a lot more questions than they normally do, and that was smart. They were expected and predicted, but still, they seemed more open and less scripted, even though, as Valiant pointed out, you could sure tell the difference when they were reading versus when they were just talking, you know. But look, the whole thing is about raising prices as far as any kinds of increase. And how long can you do that?
Right. Well,
how long can you do that?
We're beyond what I even thought was possible because, you know, I don't know if it's an addiction or what it is. I don't know if Disney adults just can't stop. But people are going into massive amounts of debt to go to Disney, and
yeah,
it's actually incredible, and we're getting
sooner or later those bills come due.
They do,
and if you own MasterCard this much, and the other MasterCard this much, and the other Visa that much, and it's not just once a month that you're having to choke, but every week. Let's go again, Dad. Well, maybe not quite so soon.
You know, it's amazing to me. I just imagine, you know, the folks at Disney. Do you think maybe sometimes they go, well, they won't pay this. Let's just go up there and see the actuaries. And then, well, I'll be darned, they will pay it. All right, well, let's raise it even higher. There's no way they'll pay it this next time. Well, they will. I'll be darned. Let's raise it even higher. And it just keeps going and going and going. And
and I have said that the model they have chosen to pattern themselves on has been Vegas. But the big flaw in that analogy is that Vegas has gaming.
Right. And Vegas
to make up for it.
In the last 12 months, Vegas really collapsed. Tourism collapsed. Once that narrative happens, and that's what we're paying attention to.
I just saw a story that Prim Valley is shutting down completely. That whole thing at the border on the way from LA to Vegas.
Really?
Of about 4 or 5 hotels.
Yeah.
As of next week, everybody's out of a job.
I did not know that. First time I heard
Even the
that.
gas station.
Wow.
So that's something, you know.
Once the narrative shifts, Lou, that's when things get, you know, dicey. And so thus far, you're starting to hear that percolate out in the mainstream that Disney's too expensive and people can't afford it. Vegas hit that point where all of a sudden that's what people talked about. They weren't talking about, oh, I got to go to Vegas. Oh, you got to go to Vegas. Suddenly everybody was saying Vegas is too expensive. And it's like this groupthink mind shift that happens at a societal level when that takes place. I don't know how close Disney is to that, but right now they're loving that people will go, you know, $30,000 into debt to visit Mickey and Minnie and Goofy.
But the headwinds say maybe we'll spend 10 with Mickey and 30 down the road.
Oh, those darn headwinds, eh? I mean, oh, darn you headwinds.
Epic headwinds.
You were supposed to raise all of us. Love it. But Josh tomorrow being raised up right now, and you know, I got no problem with it. We'll put it back on the screen. 108.41 for Disney. Yeah. And we're going to be paying attention to the next 7 months. The next 7 months really matter. And that's what we're going to be covering today in the Pro Show, folks. Welcome to, we're starting to get towards the 500 mark. If you join us, the smartest, the brightest, the best smelling, and dare I say, the most financially astute in the world. Joining us today. I don't care what your banker tells you. Those negative numbers, those are just imaginary anyway. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's dive into the stories of the day. And we're going to be talking about Josh tomorrow. Is he the new CEO extraordinaire, as Wall Street seems to think? And how long does this go? Have we truly turned a page at Disney? And what would we need to see for signs of that? All right, we're going to go to Ruby Hoove out there. Ruby is dropping a WDW Pro membership. Thank you so much, Ruby. I also see the sad news. Rest in peace, Ed Turner, for $2 from Cherokee Bear. And I'll say this, I am often very sad when I hear that somebody has passed away. When I know, though, that someone has been in ill health to a tremendous degree for a long time with no quality of life, and I hear they pass away, it's not quite as sad because we never want people to suffer. And by all accounts that I've heard of and heard from, Ted Turner has not been doing well for a long time.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah, he married Jane Fonda.
Oh, culture. That's culture. That's not what we were talking about.
What? I have to earn my cranky reputation.
Could I have a hug? Give me a hug.
No way.
Come here.
I'm not coming over there.
Let's go.
Forget it.
Pronto.
Oh, cranky casino. Gilliam is out there dropping 5 wonderful WDW Pro memberships. Thank you, Gilliam. We appreciate you clicking the button. Things are going to happen. We turned into Lauren Apollo. How about that? You never know what's going to happen with StreamYard when we click the button, but we got to click the button. Why? Because it's time for Gilliam to take his place on the stage. We've got Snarky and his Fudge Dora, member for 15 months. A couple of meh additions that deleted historic attractions at Disney will not overcome the epic universe headwind. Shh. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner Disney will lose. And I believe it will get worse in coming years because Disney is decades behind. I'll tell you one thing that Josh tomorrow could do very soon that would start to say, we got this, which he's already doing with Wall Street. There's a theater sitting right next to Rock and Roller Coaster in Hollywood Studios at Walt Disney World. It currently has a show that nobody likes. And you know how I know nobody likes it? Because nobody talks about it. Nobody defends it. Nobody takes a video of it. Nobody goes in there and takes a photo of it. There's never a wait for it. And nobody's online screeching, we got to save it. It's the Villains Theater thing that replaced Lightning McQueen. Culture, it would not be hard for Josh to say, you know what, that Rock and Roller Coaster area, it's going to become the new Muppets Courtyard, and we're putting Muppet Vision back in that theater. Folks, we love Jim Henson. We know you love Jim Henson. I would never want to take Jim Henson away. Here you go. Here's his final work he ever did. It's magnificent, and it's back at Walt Disney World.
I think that would be brilliant. I think that, opening up that space and repurposing it for something that would just be to honor one of the great creative endeavors aimed at children ever. I think that makes a lot of sense. That space
and
right
certainly
now
down the road, when the Villains Land gets to be a reality, that becomes superfluous. But
yes,
my question is, how much retooling would it take for all the effects? Not much, I don't think. Too much.
You got bubble on top and a few little things. There wasn't a lot of 4D stuff with it.
What's the capacity of that theater? Do we have any idea? And I'm just wondering about throughput.
I think it's about the same. I think it's 400 culture somewhere.
Yeah, it's about 400 bodies. I mean, most of their designs are somewhere between 400 and 600 people.
So very doable.
Certainly very minimal staffing required as far as ushers getting people in and out. But certainly they could do that.
Yeah, it's an easy win. Take the easy wins right now.
Yeah, they should. It wouldn't cost them a lot of money. And again, if you put it where you're suggesting, it's not that far away from the Rock and Roller Coaster, and you could really kind of build that up. You could take over some of the backstage area as a pass through. There's a lot of opportunities there.
Texas 8412 is out there dropping 5 WDW Pro memberships. Y'all dang it, from the bottom of our hearts here on the Pro Channel. Thank you.
God dang it, from the bottom of our hearts here on the WDW Pro Channel. Thank you.
Deja vu all over again. TB7771 for 2. Wahoo! I made it today. Better late than never. You're just on time. Welcome aboard. Long Rua for 50K of those special currencies. Sucks that Lou wasn't on here yesterday to talk about the adult pretender. Hollywood star was the brainchild of the actual Lou Wasserman.
What? Who? Where? Why? Okay. Well, I'm here today. What do you want to know?
Lou, did the internet kill the Hollywood star?
Which one?
So this was the topic yesterday with RDJ, Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, well.
Robert Downey Jr. says that influencers should never be stars because they don't actually make anything. And also at the same time, Rachel Zegler and Sarah Paulson over at the Met Gala pretended to be oppressed despite being millionaires. So I think this is what it's asking. Longaroo is asking, did the internet, did access to these celebrities and hearing what they have to say, did that kill the movie star concept?
Well, I would say it's less, these celebrities are a product of the online culture. People did stupid things and said stupid things and embarrassed themselves long ago in Hollywood. The difference was they had press agentry and influence with the media to stop it getting out. Now, not so much.
And they're proud of it. That's what's amazing. I mean, you got Ziegler appearing, and all kinds of crazy. She dressed as who was it? Culture yesterday. She's got the blindfold on. She's some.
Lady
Gray.
Lady Gray. Yeah.
Lady Gray. Yeah. Before she was the Winged Victory, but that hasn't.
Well, plus, of course, in the old days, the agents would stomp on him pretty good and say, no. You're not going to say that, and you're not going to do that because we can't get you hired if you do that. Now they say, well, screw you. I'll find another agent. And they go through all this Sturm und Drang. And what happens? Deadpool's wife settles.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And then goes the gala, right?
And I hate to cite TMZ. Gosh, I don't like them. But they got one on us with this. They reported exclusively. It hurts to say it. TMZ, who celebrate some of the worst atrocities out there, TMZ got the exclusive scoop that Blake Lively got nothing out of the settlement. So all of that burned down her reputation, burned down her career, damaged her husband for nothing. You get nothing.
You lose. Good day, sir.
That's right. We're on the wrong clips page. I can't pull it up right now. I feel so bad. You lose. You get nothing.
Good day, sir. Okay, but honestly, what's really funny is right before all that news broke on my live stream, I think one of our favorites, Staccato DDS, asked me a question about what was going on behind the scenes, what I likely expected the settlement was with Baldoni and Lively, and I said, well, I have a figure. I figure that since the statement was very bland and not potentially leading to any conclusions, no money was exchanged. Everybody had to pay their lawyers' bills and go home. So I think the only thing that was a penalty for both of them was they weren't allowed to talk about each other anymore. So
I wished that I was already on camera. There are items being delivered to the studio today, but if I were on camera, I would do a Ron Coleman impression. And I would do that. I would do that where he leans forward. Ron Coleman, he adjusts his glasses.
Yeah.
I would do that because so many of the news outlets today are reporting that Justin Baldoni, who, by the way, was no longer even facing Blake Lively. This was down to a production company and a PR firm because all the claims against him had been thrown out. But there are articles out there saying that he used novel legal strategies to get out of this.
Novel.
And I want to be like Ron Coleman. I want to lean forward in the mic and adjust my glasses and say, yeah, like she filed in the wrong state.
amongst other things. I mean, yeah, it's like
any state she files in is the wrong state.
Yeah,
even better.
Since she continually files in the state of confusion.
So do her attorneys. Can we just say that her attorneys were making specious claims to begin with?
Well,
that were directly countered with all of the attributable evidence that Baldoni could submit because they were filming the filming. They were filming the filming of this thing. So
I, as you know, love and revere my dear parents and their generation, the greatest, as they say.
Right.
But they have a lot to answer for because back when I was a lad in the radical 60s, everybody was told, don't demonstrate, don't burn down campuses, go be a lawyer and fight within the system. And they all did. And now we've got a lot of so-called lawyers who don't know their butts from a hole in the ground, but by God, they're out there with a shingle and ready to take a case.
Right. Baldoni, as beta as he may be, was meticulous, and that's what saved him from Blake Lively. That and the fact that he didn't film in California. If he'd filmed in California, it wouldn't matter. But he was meticulous. He and his partner, they filmed everything. They actually saved memorandums of what she was up to. And if they had not done that, he would have been toast. Randall's out there, member for 27 months. Ooh, I have a membership. I forget which channels I am. Randall, The reason you have a membership here is because this is a community of generosity. When you show up, gifted memberships happen. Tony Piacenti is out there for 5. If they ever put Muppet Vision into the Villains Theater, they should build the Gonzo Italian restaurant too. Not do so over there, but I'm fully aboard the idea that they could at least turn the restrooms next to Rock and Roller Coaster back into the Gonzo Royal Flush. William Thompson for 5. I'm available for the panel. And where are my Korean cheerleaders? William, it's so good to see our wild back
Pro,
again.
this is why you're the boss. He said singular, you multiplied it.
I try. He needs more than one.
He only wants one, but you would give him a whole squad.
Not just a herky, but a whole set of pom-poms for you, Mr. Thompson.
Clap it up, light it up, feel that roar. We shine brighter, we want more. Hearts in the stands, hands in the air. All for the name that we all share. W-I-M, T-H-O-M-P-S-O-N. William Thompson, that's our man.
Oh, dear God.
We've got Texas 8412 for 5. Gave up Disney parks a year ago. Credit score up 100 points. As well as your IQ. And then Randall's back again for 5. Says, Culture, check your email associated with your YouTube channel.
Indeed.
There's a little gifty for you.
Gifty. Thank you, sir.
Gifties for everyone. And I tell you what, we want to say a special thank you again to William Thompson. Wild Bill, you've got a real challenge coming up Friday night, because not only is Wilton getting his legs, but Lauren claims he has a hat that is going to put you to shame. And sir, I don't believe it. I believe you truly are the Hat Man.
Jervis Tetch has nothing on him.
Speaking of Hat Men, by the way, we've got the Wiz. Hey. He's lost some of his hats. Wiz, where did all of those wonderful Burger King crowns go?
I had to give them back. Apparently, you're not supposed to take that many. They're for kids.
How is the avocado toast and the mimosa? I don't typically pair those together, but what do you say?
Delicious. It's
avocado toast, bangers, mimosa, latte, and fresh fruit. And what else is God?
So, bottomless mimosas.
How are you avoiding the fights at the Waffle House? That's all I want to know.
This is Olive Garden.
Oh, sorry.
You uncultured swine.
I apologize.
You should know the fine 5-star establishment. It is Olive Garden, located near you, ladies and gentlemen. Olive Garden is a sponsor of the channel, not really. Hey, Wiz, I'm going to click a button. You'll go away.
Real fake sponsor.
We'll bring him back. There he is.
I'm back.
Real fake sponsor. All right, Wiz, I've been bragging about you. Did you know that?
Have you been?
Yeah, he said nice, very positive things about. Did you see the video yet?
Yeah. The Angel Studios vid. I need you to tell people about that before we dive into the Disney analysis here.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing people say actual thank yous from the industry about it. There are people who are very appreciative for what you've put out.
Yeah, so the TLDR is I did a little digging into Angel Studio, Angel, and there's some stuff there that's not nice. They're not saintly like they pretend to be. There's a lot of stuff behind them that even I still don't know. I've had people reaching out to me that are credentialed, they are legitimate in what they're telling me, and I barely scratched the surface, man.
I come here and all of my illusions are shattered. The next thing you're going to tell me is that angel food cake is really not eaten by angels.
Wait till you find out about deviled eggs.
God, no, please.
One, this is my actual timeline at the top. You're at the top of the timeline with this video that just so happened. I was going to go find your video so we could share it. And I was like, well, I don't have to do that. It's actually at the top of my YouTube. And then, so go algorithm, go. And then 2, I love the idea that there are people inside the industry who are like, you know what? That guy in a fake beard and a Spirit Halloween wizard hat, I got to get him the info, man. He's got to get it out there for me. Because journalists abdicated their duties, man.
You know, what the people are reaching out and telling me, and they're like, you gotta poke around here, and here, and I'm like, guys, I was just angry about Animal Farm. I didn't realize it was going to turn into hey, here's another corporation that's doing some pretty shady things that we need to talk about. I don't want to do that.
Is my understanding that the different leadership came into Angel Studios. Is that accurate?
That is.
Maybe.
I've gotten mixed reports on that. There's involvement that goes past leadership into other organizations.
Oh, you mean
I don't like it.
You mean that the tendrils of Tinseltown have snuck their way into Angel Studios?
Well, maybe, or maybe it's a swig break.
Okay. Well, folks, go watch the video.
Know what I mean.
The tendrils of Tinseltown.
Is that not bad, Lou? I was proud.
Are they subject to the headwinds of Epic?
I think so. The part of my brain that
or the Riders of Rohan, or
the part of my brain that did not come up with that, but heard the other part of my brain put that out there, spoke across the cortex and said, "Not bad, eh?" And the other side said, "I appreciate that." Wait, really.
It was good. It was good.
All right, folks, we got to dive in. We got to do the analysis you need when it comes to the Disney stuff. Josh D'Amaro, big win today. There's no way to spin that. Josh D'Amaro with a big win, and we would never try to spin anything. Is Josh D'Amaro actually the Wall Street guy who's going to fix the Walt Disney Company? And how long does this honeymoon last? Up 8%. Let's dive in with the kind of analysis you've come to expect from the channel right now. Coming to you from WDWMagic.com, Disney Experiences 2026 revenue hits Q2 record as guest spending rises 5%. It's been a great time for the Walt Disney Company as their stock is up 8% at the time of recording under brand new CEO of Josh D'Amaro, who changed the entire format for these earnings calls. We go into all the minutia, the details of it, but it'd be kind of boring. But just know that the way he and Bob Iger handle things, completely different. Whereas Bob was a weatherman, wannabe showman, it turns out that Josh D'Amaro is more like, I don't know, Mr. Rogers. Walt Disney World fans and Disney investors got to look at the company's financial performance for Q2 fiscal 2026 today, and it marks a notable milestone, the first earnings call under new CEO Josh D'Amaro. The results beat prior guidance with stronger than expected revenue growth, driving the outperformance across all three business segments. But today we're looking at the parks. D'Amaro, who previously led Disney Experiences, now heads the Walt Disney Company alongside Chief Financial Officer Hugh Johnston, a.k.a. Mr. Wall Street. And don't forget that Mr. Gorman of Morgan Stanley runs the board now. The Bob Iger era has truly come to an end. Disney reported revenues of $25.2 billion for the quarter. And note as we say this, that of that $25.2 billion, we've looked into the stats, and it looks like to us, and we'll show this to you in a little bit, $6 to $7 billion of that comes just from theme parks. Huge. It says it's up 7% from the $23.6 billion in the same quarter of last year. Income before income taxes rose 9%. Total segment operating income increased 4% to $4.6 billion, aka that's the profit. But here's what you need to know. Disney Experiences records another record quarter. But how did they do it? Well, let's see. It says segment operating income came in at $2.615 billion out of the experiences part. That's cruise lines, hotels, and definitely theme parks. Per capita guest spending at domestic parks was up 5% in the quarter. But if we go down one paragraph, look at this. Domestic park attendance dipped 1% year over year. And this is the part where Disney admitted Epic Universe is having a major impact on them. And that's even before Epic opens up annual passes and what we expect to see nighttime, separately ticketed events at Epic Universe, probably on a regular basis, which could bring Epic up something like 50 or 60% in attendance. That will be amazing. So how is it that Disney dropped attendance but gained in spending and revenue for the parks? How could that possibly be? Well, folks, if we go over here to the actual data from Disney, you can see that when we break this down, and I apologize that if it's a little bit small, we'll try to zoom in and see if we can fix that for you. Hang on. Let's see if we can do it. We can. There we go. If we look at this from Disney, they've got theme park admissions at a 6% increase. And how did you get a 1% decrease in attendance, but 6% increase in theme park admission revenue?
Raise the prices.
That's right. They've raised the prices like crazy, even more than inflation. That is how they're doing it. That's how they're increasing their revenues. So while we're here to celebrate, yay, go Disney, go investors, you're making more money, it's off the backs of families who may have already had this set aside as the time they were going to go visit Disney. Culture, I'll start with you. Your thoughts on Disney beating expectations, but it's kind of just because they're beating up the wallets of their biggest fans. Culture, you're muted.
Yeah, and I think that's detrimental to the company overall for the future. But I see hope. I think Disney's starting to get the memo that people are starting to rebel against filling the voids of their occupancy problem, because they're not just losing the regular guests, they're losing the on property guests, particularly at Disney World, because you can actually get last minute rooms and things like that a lot easier than you used to be able to do. A 4% jump, all these other things that are driving the media right now are not necessarily what's actually happening. I think Wall Street sees a little Bob Chapek in Josh. Bob invested quite heavily and intelligently in the future of Disney, which is why the stock popped when Chapek took over. Remember, it was at its record high with Bob Chapek in his just under 2 years of him being in the job. He invested about $24 billion into the company between the parks and resorts and obviously the streaming and stuff like that. He also streamlined production and centralized it at the same time so that they had an overriding authority where they could evaluate its merit and make decisions based on whether or not they wanted to make it. I think that if Josh were going to pursue that path, I think that would also lead to Wall Street getting very excited. It looks like he's going to invest in the future, but as far as earnings go, they're going to have to figure out how to scale back on the costs to the guests, or they're going to have to invest in the perks again to make it more worth the guests' time and money.
Now, did you say parks or perks there, Culture?
Yes, I said perks. Perks are something that you used to get for free. The items that increase the perception of added value, and I think that's something that they need to look forward into back to when the parks were really hot and they were increasing attendance year over year. I think go ahead.
Some of those perks had a double-edged sword for the company in the sense that perk, you get a free ride from the airport on the bus. Perk for the company, you can't go anywhere else. Doubly important in the age of the headwinds from up north. So my other question when I was watching all this was, they talk about greatly expanding the cruise line, like 13 ships or something like that. How much does that cannibalize park attendance? How much does it become an either or for a family to take a vacation this year?
Phenomenal question. That is a phenomenal question. And I'll go back. Let me see if I can pull this up so people can see this. When we break it down, you got theme park admissions accounts for now in 2026, $3 billion in a single quarter, $3 billion just in theme park admissions. That's just the tickets. Just you cross the ticket line, right? When it comes to parks, experiences, merchandise, food, and beverage, we're at 2.1 billion. Okay, so that's 5.1 billion now. Really, it's 5.2 billion. And then park licensing and other is another 670. So you're closing in on, at that point, $6 billion just directly from theme park stuff. Now, not hotels, not DVC, which would even be more. Sitting inside the resorts and vacations is the cruise line. So even though the cruise lines are doing well, Lou's right. They may be taking away from the theme parks in terms of, honey, do we do a cruise? Do we do the theme park this year? Even still, the theme parks are massive, gargantuan compared to them.
But especially when you consider that the trip on the cruise includes the food, includes all the other tough stuff that's being bought in separate categories here.
I think there's one thing we're also not discussing, which is what the day splits look like. Because this kind of pricing structure is creating an either or situation for a lot of consumers and fans of both places. But I think that you're starting to see the split down the street happen more frequently. I'm going to tell you, I'm more interested in going to Epic Universe, and I'm going to be using my DVC to do that more than I am going to use it to do anything else. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And a lot of the stuff at Disney World currently is under construction. Wiz, though, I want to bring up the Chapek thing again. For those who don't know, Bob Chapek was the CEO very briefly between Bob Iger #1 and Bob Iger #2. Bob Iger largely had him kicked out. And one of the ways that Chapek went down is he tried to moderate the Disney company. He didn't want it involved in politics. But then when there was pushback, he acquiesced. He was afraid. He didn't handle it the right way. He didn't come down with an iron fist. And I don't know if that's always the right call, but in that case, the people who were out to get him, they didn't want him just to not moderate the company. They wanted him ousted and they wanted Bob back. In this case, Wiz, there was a lot of worry that Dana Walden was going to be a co-CEO de facto at Disney. It seems like Wall Street and tomorrow have put that to bed. We haven't heard a single thing from Dana Walden since any of this happened. There's been no PR, no interviews, no nothing. She's gone. Wiz, is that the right way for them to go forward?
I see it in two possibilities. I think on one side, I think we're not out the woods yet. I think it's still extremely early on, and they're not so much as they're giving him a chance, but it's more like we need to see things happen. And then the other side, it's very much possible he could still be replaced by Dana Walden. I think that's on the table until he's retired, frankly, or she retires. Or on the other side, the money people are stepping in. If we look at Star Wars, if we look at Marvel, if we look at there is desperation starting to finally creep into this company in places in product. So I think there's a very strong reality that there are the money people are starting to say, Josh, you're going to change things. You're going to allow people to change things.
Let me add a little color to that, Wiz, just to add to what you're saying, because you're exactly right. If we look at the theme park stuff, right? So $6 billion off of just theme parks. And Walt Disney World makes up the large majority of that. What's the lowest performing theme park at Walt Disney World? Hollywood Studios. What's supposed to be driving people to Hollywood Studios?
Star
Wars. So it's this idea that, hey, we've reached the point now where Star Wars and Marvel and Pixar, their damage is damaging the other parts of us that have been holding it all together through the woke era. And I think Wall Street, as you said, I think Wall Street is taking charge of this company. I think Josh tomorrow is being protected by Wall Street. And I think Wall Street has had enough of what's been destroying Star Wars, Marvel, et cetera. And that's why this next 7 months are so important. Wiz, what do you think we need to see over the next 7 months that gives us that idea? Because it won't be movies, right? All the movies that are coming out this year, they were approved. They were greenlit by Bob Iger. All of the TV shows, same thing. So we can't base Josh tomorrow's future on what happens this year. What do we need to see behind the scenes that tells us moves are happening?
I have to be completely, I don't know if I could point to one specific thing, but I can point to what we can't see, right? I can't say like, oh, they need to just do this thing with Star Wars or this thing with Marvel. I think the normie audience has left. I've said this before. The normie audience is what they need to recapture. It's going to be virtually impossible to do that. What they should not do, however, is allow people like Dana Walden or like Kathleen Kennedy, who's gone, or like Bob Iger to make any more decisions with this company. The decisions that these people make, whether it be political or personal or whatever the narrative is that they want to run with, it doesn't make money. Dana Walden and the rhetoric that she brings to this company does not generate money. And this is a company that desperately needs to generate money. So we get away from that and we move into recapturing and relearning who is the normal audience. Who are the normal people out there? Because it's clearly not like them. It's not the people in the writer's room. It's not the people that are making decisions. It's certainly not the corporate executives, and it's certainly not the marketing department. They have no idea who the people are out there that want to give Disney money. I would say us included, even on this panel, like we want to love this company again, but they have to earn us back. And in order for them to do that, they need to figure out, well, they have to reach us. They have to reach, and not even just us, the normal folks out there who aren't as invested in this as we are, right? The normal people are like, people need to see Mickey Mouse again or the Disney company, and they need to think, I like Disney again. And that's not going to happen unless there's radical changes.
Here is how we will know if it's working. And it's going to take a while. we're going to have to see as these new things at the parks open, like Encanto and all of that, like Villains and Piston, whatever. We got to see how that affects attendance. Because remember, the whole deal was that Galaxy's Edge was going to boost overall park attendance by a huge amount, and it didn't.
Right.
It didn't.
Exactly right.
And that's going to take time to sort itself out. But will it be I went to see it because it's the new thing, and now I've seen it, I don't have to go back? Unlike people who rode the Mark Twain for 50 years.
Well, and
let me throw it over to you this way, Culture. I'm very interested in what you say to that. But I also want to say to folks out there, as you get ready to go, we've been called Disney haters. People say, well, you guys are addicted to being negative. You're grifters, blah, 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 blah. And none of that's true. This company, despite the great earnings report they had today under Josh D'Amaro, and it may be a brand new, it's a brand new D'Amaro under D'Amaro, it's still down 40% versus where it was before Bob Iger committed the mutiny. So, Culture, we don't have any way of reporting accurately on Disney without being negative because they're in the whole 40% over the past 5 years, whereas the broader market is up. So that delta is worse than the 40% you see.
It's worse because of inflation, too.
Oh, absolutely.
$107 doesn't buy what it used to, even now that it's moderating.
So, Culture, what are we looking for in the next 7 months for Josh D'Amaro to get this turned around?
I think we look at the new areas being redeveloped with characters like, let's say, Black Rock, Spire, and Batuu, whatever. They have 7 names for Star Wars land now, but anyway, if you look at them bringing back the old trilogy characters, and that generates more interest in that area of the park. If you look at what the effects of all their changes is having, what kinds of articles are being written, articles right now are focused in on just how much the company is robbing you every time you go to the theme park for what they have to offer because so many attractions are unavailable to guests. So if all of the buzz around the theme parks in particular starts to turn around, and then they start to get more quality shows and films out to the public, whether it be through streaming or through theaters, whether or not it's going to be a shift in the perception of the public. And at the same time that there's actual, increased revenue growth that isn't driven by merely price changes. Again, I think Disney Minus actually hurt themselves with another price increase. I think Netflix did the same. I think every time that the market sees price increases without any appreciable gains, I think they're going to become more and more concerned. Because the value isn't there. And look, consumer value is measured by, how much people, love or appreciate your company or your brand. And I think we've separated ourselves a very long way from that for a long time with Disney in particular. And I think that again, it all comes down to value. I'm sorry. It is what it is. If people do not perceive value in what Disney has invested in recently, or if they don't increase the value of what they've invested in, I think that's going to go. I think that's going to go very badly for them. But if they can increase it, which it looks like they're willing to try and do, perception will change, and people will end up, being enthusiastic about going to these parks again.
Let me give you 3 forward-facing things, real quick, Culture. 3 forward-facing things that I think Disney could do over the next 7 months. Yeah. Now, I'm not talking internally, okay? And we could go into the nitty-gritty of finances on Disney. I don't know how many people are interested in that. We can go there, but in the forward-facing, the public can see it. Here's 3 things I think they could do that would signal Josh D'Amaro has it figured out. Because I don't think he's an abrasive guy. I don't think he's going to come in and shake the company and, we're going to get lots of articles. He doesn't seem to be operating that way. He's a very cozy fellow, right? He reminds me of how... what's his name? The guy who did Overwatch. Jeff Kaplan. He reminds me of Jeff Kaplan with the fireside chats about Overwatch, kind of. He's very gentle. 1, Josh D'Amaro could announce that, or whoever he wants to have underneath him announce, that they're bringing the original trilogy characters for Star Wars to Galaxy's Edge on the East Coast. And then he could announce that it's permanent for both locations. And then they could offer a special event where they're going to reskin Rise of the Resistance, where it's based on the original trilogy for a limited time only, all the while knowing that if it's really popular, we're not changing it back. Okay, there's option one. Another thing they could do, they need to signal that the legends that got kicked out in the woke era are welcome back at Disney again, that the geniuses that gave them their success are no longer persona non grata. And one way they could do that, this is just one example, make John Lasseter a Disney legend. You fired the genius of your generation for hugging. Get over it. Call John Lasseter, make him a legend, take the hit in the articles for a day or two. It'll be okay. They hated the Michael movie. You'll be okay. And then finally, the third thing I would say, Jimmy Kimmel is determined to get fired. He wants to be fired because Jimmy Kimmel, the only thing that he wins with is getting fired because he has 1 year left on his contract. He's about in his new contract. He's got 1 year and he's going to be slowly faded out with no big celebratory triumph tour as he goes down. So Jimmy Kimmel wants to go out in a blaze of glory. Phase him out now. Move him to Hulu. Make him Hulu exclusive. Do whatever it takes to diminish the damage he's going to do since he wants to go out that way. Hey, Wall Street, move him to Hulu. Do whatever it takes to make him less capable of hurting the company. Panel, what say you? Culture?
I think the Kimmel move is probably brilliant. I think you put him exclusively on Disney Minus instead of Hulu.
Claim the Trump administration has made you do it. I don't care what you got to say. Get the people who are going to hate it on your side. Make yourselves in the victims. I don't care, but get him on Hulu.
Well, it like I said, it's a great way to take any kind of FCC issues off the table. It's a great way to basically just write down the cost of his show because it's not going to be advertiser supported anymore, other than on whatever streaming packages you put it on. I think that's probably the best low impact way to get rid of him and just increase his cultural irrelevance. I think it sends a message to other people in the sphere to not behave poorly and find your way back to the middle so that you have a broader appeal. I think that's probably the smartest idea I've heard about what to do with Kimmel.
Yeah, claim the Trump administration's after you. Well, you can't lose the network. They made you do it. Blah 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 blah, and get him off there.
Can I briefly challenge the John Lasseter idea?
Oh sure, absolutely.
I don't know if that moves the dial at all. I think this company is so. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad thing to do. I'm saying I don't think that moves the dial at all. And here's why. Go out on the street one day and ask, do you know who John Lasseter is?
Uh-huh.
And I think people today don't know who he is. Millennials, Gen Z, Gen Alpha won't even know who John Lasseter is. They have his legacy has been so memory hold. We have come such a long way from that. I think things like that will send signals through the trades and people like us will talk about it. They need to make content that changes the conversation, and that's the only thing that they can do. That's the only possibility.
The quick defense, Wiz, when I say make John Lasseter a legend, that's a single picture in a broader movement that needs to happen.
Right.
What I'm actually talking about is, okay, for example, Tony Baxter, legendary Imagineer, the guy who made Splash Mountain. The guy who gave Disney Star Wars in every way you can imagine it. Literally, without Tony Baxter, there is no Disney-owned Star Wars. They give him no credit. They maligned him. They kicked him out. All of these guys, it's not just John Lasseter. It's all of these people who are true geniuses who got kicked to the curb based on internal politics. Bring them back. You put Tony Baxter back and I know he's retired. But you have him come back and teach the new generation of Imagineers the right way to do it. You celebrate the John Lasseters. You go to the people that you decided you didn't want to have be part of your team. You go to Johnny Depp. You say, Johnny, you hate our guts. We're not even asking you to come back as Jack Sparrow. What could we possibly do? It's new leadership here, Johnny. Is there any project we can fund for you? That's the kind of stuff you do, is you go to the people who made you successful and you say, we're deeply sorry and we're going to start fixing this. And whether the normies and the kids understand it, the people in the business will understand it, and it will send a signal, a ripple through the Disney company down to the bottom that says, we're not aiming for the quotas anymore. We're aiming for the meritocracy. You be excellent. That's what we want. And we're going to celebrate excellency again. We're not going to celebrate what it is you do in the bedroom.
I dig it.
Me too.
I think it's all wonderful, high-minded, noble, and irrelevant.
Oh, you got me, Wiz. Take me down again. Lou, here we go.
And I'll tell you why. Because if you did every one of those things, first of all, you've got to get rid of scores of people. When you say teach the Imagineers that are there now, the Imagineers that are there now are all these people that were hired for those reasons.
Right. And
unqualified.
They hate meritocracy. They hate the patriarchy.
And second of all, you won't see any results of any of that for 5 to 8 years.
Longer.
Yeah, I agree there. Yeah.
And so you can do all that and make points with guys like us who know better, but it ain't going to affect the bottom line very quickly. Wall Street is a cruel mistress when it comes to that bottom line.
Okay, so I'll take the pushback, but what do you guys think about the Kimmel aspect? And we're going to talk about Kimmel.
The problem with Kimmel, though, once upon a time, we didn't identify individuals by corporation. They were by their individual acts. If you put Kimmel on Disney Plus, you're really telling anybody who is the last 12 people who don't know that what he does speaks on behalf of the Disney company.
That's why you got to move him to Hulu. He can't go to Disney Plus.
I think he has to go to Disney Plus because Disney Plus is irrelevant. I mean, it more and more irrelevant. To give him a smaller audience.
Can't be associated with Disney. And you just got to take the loss.
Oh, all right. Well, isn't Hulu part of Disney?
Yeah, but it doesn't say Disney on it when he's over there saying this stuff.
Well, okay, then stick him on FX. Or FXX or whatever's left.
XYZ.
Yeah, whatever it takes. And it'd be interesting to see the contract.
Nat Geo. He could go on. No.
I don't think you could stick him anywhere. Wherever he goes, he's going to create more problems. And he's not worth it. He's not generating the money. These are small potato things.
Millions of dollars a year. He's kind of like releasing Snow White and Wish. He is a giant sinkhole of cash that they just set on fire.
And it takes a lot of impetus to move the needle, but when it does, it moves for good. And if I am A, faced with theme park prices that are up 10%, and B, faced with everything else that's costing more, and C, have this wonderful outfit called Universal down the road, and on top of that, if I go to the Disney parks, I'm supporting the guys that give me Jimmy Kimmel. All I'm saying is there's some back-breaking straws here out there in the general population, and who knows which one's going to be the one. But you add them all up, we're talking lots of money.
Let me make a wild suggestion.
Wild.
Are you ready?
Get wild, culture.
Okay, reverse some of the capital cities deal. Sell off ABC.
Oh yeah.
There are investors right now calling for them to sell off ESPN instead because the NFL deal is about to get really, really expensive in 2030.
It's not just, it's going to get really expensive because the NFL wants to force a renegotiation of the rights deal. Not to mention the fact that, the FCC is now going to be taking a very close look at whether or not the networks and the studios had the right to move the freely broadcasted football games from their airwaves to, the now, isolated islands of streaming services. There's a lot in the background that's being looked into. I think you need to, if you're going to be a cable and internet streaming, you need to focus on that, get rid of your networks. Cause that's an anchor that should be, on its own ship. How about that?
That? And if what you do best is get people to theme parks and hotels and get them to buy stuff, why do you need all the rest of it? Once upon a time, all of that stuff at the theme parks came out of the movies, but they're not making any movies that matter anymore.
No.
And they're destroying the franchises that they've got, that they paid a lot of money for. So the synergy, the flywheel, they used to call it, the connection, is going away. And, it wouldn't be a terrible thing to just be the world's greatest theme park and cruise ship company.
Well, that's what they eventually evolved into, right? And the biggest problem the fact that they no longer have a connection to a flywheel. They no longer honor the past. They don't want to make book report rides, which are the ones that were most popular. Think about what Fantasyland was and why it was popular. Think about the fact that it had staying power of over 50 years. And
yet, that's all true. And Fantasyland did not have Snow White 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
No,
it didn't have Peter Pan 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It had all of those things collected in a spot, but they were each their own thing. Now they need some new IP, gang. Everybody out there needs some new IP, and they need to make a lot of it to see which one sticks.
Well, that's what's funny about that, Lou, is the last time Josh had one of these calls, he said, we're going to make new IP inside of old IP. Those were his words. They're just going to keep making the same thing over and over.
So they're going to do what? They're going to do Dory, the Untold Story.
Yeah,
they're going to do, come on, guys.
Well, let me tell you what I think they're actually going to do. Real quick.
Jawa's Adventure.
What I think they're going to do is something that is very fascinating in terms of they're going back to what Chapek told them to do. And Iger put on ice.
That's what I said.
It's fascinating to me to see tomorrow come in, and we got hints of this today. Did you guys hear them talking about the new Disney Plus? Did you guys hear them talking about an investor was asking about this, about the idea that there's going to be this new, Disney Plus is going to be plussed up beyond what it is today. What if I told you that this was something that was being worked on back in the Chapek era, and we reported on? Wall Street Journal also was reporting on it. That Park Place was reporting on it. I'll pull up the Wall Street Journal, and I do that for a particular reason. I'll explain in just a moment. August 31st, 2022. Again, back in the Chapek era, Disney explores membership program like Amazon Prime to offer discounts and perks. And this was about Disney Plus, where they're going to turn Disney Plus into not just a place for watching your shows and movies, but to buy stuff, to buy all kinds of things, to play video games, et cetera, et cetera. And look down here. At the same time that Chapek was trying to institute this Disney Plus plan, what was being covered? All the protests to take down Chapek over the Florida thing, which was the cudgel to get rid of Chapek.
If they have Dumbo-shaped drones to deliver to your house what you buy, that'll.
So I think what's happening, yeah, that would be fun. I think what's happening is Josh tomorrow's going back to, and Wall Street's going back to what Chapek had planned with a giant Disney Plus concept, where it's essentially the Disney store online, but it's also everything else Disney. You plan your theme park trips, your cruise trips, all that on a single giant app where ESPN and Hulu and Disney are. A gigantic Disney Plus. I think this is why they've been trying to find a way to get vertical AI, generative AI into the Disney Plus app and have kids creating content for it. This is what they're after, the Disney Super app.
Well, was that what he was really talking about when he was talking about technology as the third arm of, sure, right. Of course. Yep.
Wiz, I'll give you the final word on it. Disney Super app. Josh tomorrow, going back to the Chapek era. What do you think?
I think it won't. I think it's a great idea from a business aspect. You want to have everything all in one place. I think it won't matter unless you give people an emotional connection to be willing to buy this stuff. We just watched. We've had two finales back to back here. We had Maul 2 nights ago. We had Daredevil last night. Both of these shows were garbage. So now, just imagine you're watching these finales. You just spent weeks watching these shows. You get to the finale of a show, and it's terrible. And then it pops up on screen. You want to buy a Daredevil mask? You want to buy a Darth Maul lightsaber? It's just add insult to injury. Until Disney has the ability to make good content again, it does. The only people that this is going to work for, Pro, is the Disney super fans who are already buying the stuff. So I think if this is the path they're going to go down, and they've kind of understood, we don't have the ability to make stories that buzz with normal audiences anymore. So we are just going to have to triple, quadruple, 10 times double down on the people that are already giving us money. But that's terrible business practice, because guess what? Those people aren't around forever.
Right.
Those people aren't around forever. You need new blood. And this generation of Disney is the worst. I've never seen a company that is so antagonized by trying to connect with Gen Alpha. I've never seen a company that desperately needs to win the next generation fail them so badly.
But they're aging. You're pointing out something that I've acknowledged for a long time. They're aging out of the boomers. That means the grandparents and great grandparents aren't as psyched to take their great grandkids and their grandkids. They are not taking them to the films. They aren't. They have different types of involvement now. And then the generation that follows them, which is mine, Gen X, same problem. These people are aging out. They're looking at retirement. They're frustrated by the world around them, and they've become frustrated with Disney because it's no longer even a shadow of what it once was. So now they've alienated those two generations from, being super fans, and they're the only ones that can afford it, because every successive generation after that are having difficulty just buying houses, and paying for gas right now. And again, it's all because of political garbage. At the same time, is that they are releasing nothing but political garbage, and they have nothing original. And look, I mean, it's a great idea to say we're going to create IPs from IPs, which just means tireless spinoffs. But at the same time, who's really interested in that? If the kids don't have a connection with Star Wars, like Gen Alpha, as you describe, or anything else that's, should be a baseline for Disney, then what do they have to trade upon with that generation? I think you're 100% right. But these are all the results, and Lou was right to point it out earlier, of previous shots at what their fan base was, and really kind of driving people into these super fan communities that are incredibly toxic to the overall brand value. They've got problems three ways to Sunday, and I don't know. I hope Josh has a plan to fix it. This super app's not the way to do it.
Bottom line, folks, if you look at the pop that we've got here on the stock, it's a good day to be Josh tomorrow. I mean, there's no way around it. It's a good day to be Josh tomorrow. Wall Street loves him, and he had a very good earnings report, and he made significant changes to the way it was delivered, I think in a way that are positive for the stock versus Bob Iger. However, what we're talking about is, if you look at the 5-year, Disney's down 42.27%. What that means is that Josh tomorrow has his work cut out for him. He needs many, many of these kinds of days, and he's got 7 months until the end of the year to continue plugging away at fixing all the holes Bob Iger put in the boat. Can he do it? I don't know, but Wall Street is voting on him.
By the way, you know where us grandparents want to take our grandkids?
Where do you want to go?
Plano.
Plano, Texas?
Yeah. That's where Universal's building their audiences for the future.
Yeah.
Right. The kids park, right?
The kid
park.
park.
Exactly.
Sounds like a good time down in the heart of Texas. All right, folks. The heart of the channel is on the super chats. Let's get the superstars up on the screen. Let's see here. We've got Tony out there says, move Kimmel to MS Now. Then no one will see him. The crazy thing is the Ellisons bought CNN. CNN's ratings are exploding. And I think it's partly because CNN is already moderating for them. In some ways, they're also crazier than usual because you've basically got the ones that are on the far left. They're auditioning for their next roles. But to a large extent, CNN is moderating because of its new ownership already, even before new policies are put in place. CNN's ratings are up like 70%, something like that. So amazing. And by the way, folks, I know some of you in the chat are saying, rest in peace, Ted Turner. We did bring that up at the beginning of the show. I know many of you are joining us right now. We're happy to have you. But yes, Ted Turner did pass away. And of course, a behemoth in the in the annals of the history of television and entertainment. One of the greats in making a business surrounding all that, and did it in an avant-garde way with all kinds of new businesses. Very, very amazing life lived by Ted Turner. I rate specialist for $4.99. I don't believe this real life fake wizard is fake. I've seen how fast their channel is growing. There's some kind of wizardry going on there.
It's definitely something. Maybe obsession or chaos.
So, for those who don't know, being successful on YouTube is really, really, really hard. And you can get people who get lucky for a little bit. But the problem is that if you're lucky for a little bit, there's about 10,000 other people who are gunning to get your kind of success every single day. So you can never take your foot off the accelerator. And when Wiz talks in the background about his channel and the level of analytical analysis he's doing, trying to make sure that he's doing the right things and make the right moves, Wiz is going to have one heck of a future because he's got the passion. And you have to be passionate about this. You have to see the vision for it. It has to be meaningful. It can't be a fun hobby if you're going to go to the top levels, and Wizard's doing the right things there.
I was just mad about Animal Farm, man.
Sure you were. TB, he's got, listen, I bet there's a wall with all kinds of topics stapled to the wall of what should I cover next? Animal Farm.
I hate that that's true.
It is, I know it. TB for 5 gifted memberships. Thank you, TB. We appreciate you. That is so kind of you.
I want to hear it.
Not right now.
Yes, now, Dusty Bun.
Wait. Okay.
You're the one who's out of this world, sweet baby. You're the one who's out of this world.
We've got Mr. Darth Tater is out there for 5. I just booked a weekend visit to Disneyland Paris. And even with a cast member discount, it was still very pricey. Well, Mr. Darth Tater, you can check out Disneyland in Japan, and you'll find out that sometimes the prices are lower and the parks are even better.
Oh, yeah.
Also,
yeah,
nice reference to Toy Story there, and one of the costumes for Mr. Potato Head from a while back. We've got TB again for 2. I wish I could make it to the live shows more often. Well, we do too, and that's why we do them at different times. Mondays and Wednesdays, we're on in the evening. Today is a special edition, of course, because of the Disney earnings call. We always do a special one after the earnings call. But Mondays and Wednesdays, we're live at 9 p.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays, we're live at noon Eastern. Why are we on during the day on 2 days and the evenings at night? Because we know that's 2 different audiences largely who can be there, and we try to facilitate making sure we're available to all of God's creatures across our blue marble called Earth. We've got Tony Piacenti out there for 10 again. Why is Disney investing in new hotels when attendance is down? DVC. And the existing hotels are half empty. DVC. That money would be spent better in other places like maintenance. They can spend the money there too. They can walk and chew gum. They need to. I don't like how they're using the land. They could maintain the illusion of, and it's not really an illusion. Disney World is huge. It's twice the size of Manhattan, but they could maintain the illusion of how big it is. And they continuously don't do that with their hotels. They continuously open up sight lines where you can go, oh, I can see that hotel and this hotel and this hotel from there. This doesn't feel so big anymore. So there are parts of it that I don't like, but they're making money off of DVC. I don't know, Culture. You're a DVC member. You've got more insight into this one. Well, you think?
Well, yeah, real estate does well. And again, it's a really crazy kind of a timeshare that's very much different than most other timeshares that are sold. Most people hang on to it for a period of time where their kids or their grandkids are in the sweet spot as far as the attendance for their kids or grandkids, and then they either part with it or they start to give it away or rent it out or whatever. I think I'm one of those people that is more interested in ensuring friends and family have a good vacation, but it's a good investment for Disney because they can sell it over and over again. They have first right of refusal on most of the good locations, and you have to remember the original plan was not DVC, but to fill the entire coastline there around that particular water body with hotels. It wasn't just the original 3 they had planned. They had more planned for the future. They wanted to sell a different experience to everybody that felt global, just like Epcot is.
Yeah. There's also the problem of the DVC towers next to so many of these hotels that dilute the experience there and diminish, I think, the experience. So there have been mistakes made, but I'm not cutting Disney any slack here. They can invest in hotels and they can maintain the parks. They can do both, and they should. Siani Reese for $4.99 in 1992. When I was but 6 years old, my parents and I went on a Disney cruise, followed by a week in the parks. It was affordable to do both.
92. Was that the big red boat when Carnival was doing it for Disney before they owned their own ships?
The big red boat.
I'm pretty sure that was a big red boat. That wasn't Disney. They were just licensing their likenesses and the characters to Carnival for use on those ships. So how do I know that? Because that was my honeymoon.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Very cool. Around 92 culture?
Yeah.
Congratulations. We got Juliet for 2. Like, subscribe, and share. Thank you, Juliet. Mod extraordinaire. And Kaylee Oth for 5. Here's a suggestion. Spin off cable and TV, then also spin off movies and streaming. Decades of shady accounting shall come to bite them one day. In the rodent derriere, I should say. And Kaylee Oth for 5. Imagine Disney partnering with Walmart to become Amazon Prime. Disney provides the IP content. Walmart handles the physical product sales. A match made in mousy hell.
It won't matter if people don't want to buy it.
You got to make the good stuff, right, Wiz?
That's what it's got to be.
Yep. Bring on the Star Wars, the Marvel, the Pixar that people want, and you can flaunt all the money that's going to come in. But until you do so, there is no winning to be done in the hallowed halls of Disney. All right, folks, we got one final story before we send you over to TPP. Don't forget as well, 9 p.m. Eastern on Friday here on the Pro Channel, we're going to be doing the Wilton Legacy Charity Stream. We're going to be raising money for a great cause and pretending that we're raising money for Wilton's legs. You want to be there. Trust me, it's going to be a great time, 9 p.m. this Friday. Also, pay very close attention because we will be putting out the login and password once again for Zax, the brand new video game in beta, early access for all members of this channel and the sister channels we have. Putting that back out there. If you've not played it yet, we just did a massive update and mobile gaming support coming later this week. Moving, grooving, folks, shaking and baking for you. Jimmy Kimmel is back in the news. This time on Newsbreak. Jimmy Kimmel, how long until the breakup with Disney happens? And you gotta love when they do this sort of thing with Giuliani, where they treat him that way, where they take, the awkward photo that all of us do, and they do that to America's mayor. Whatever you think of Rudy Giuliani and his politics, folks, he led New York through 9/11. He's owed, at least a little bit of respect. I would say more than a little bit of respect. I don't agree with everything that Giuliani does, but my gosh, people, he's a historic figure. Jimmy Kimmel is now laughing at MAGA for trying to pin the Rudy Giuliani hospitalization on him. Of course, nobody's actually doing that. People are saying, hey, Jimmy, it's time for you to stop making death jokes about older people. It's weird. It's bizarre. And and we know it will eventually come true just by the facts of statistics. If you make death jokes about older people, eventually one of them's going to land right when somebody hits the can. Jimmy Kimmel mocked MAGA media figures on his Monday, May 4th show for suggesting he had inside knowledge or was responsible for former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani's recent hospitalization. All of these strawman arguments, none of these are real. The controversy began after the Jimmy Kimmel show host made a joke on April 28th saying Giuliani rose from the grave to record a podcast, a jab at the former mayor's age and a long-running joke by Kimmel that Giuliani is a vampire. When Giuliani was hospitalized with severe pneumonia just days later on May 3rd, and was, by the way, put into critical condition status and I believe in the ICU, conservative commentators and a Newsmax panel criticized the timing as abhorrent and questioned if Kimmel knew about the illness beforehand, which I think is fair to ask. Did he know that Giuliani was ill? I don't know. This comes as a feud between Kimmel and the MAGA network. Really? There's a feud between Kimmel and Newsmax? I didn't even know this. I follow this kind of stuff. Who knew? Escalated into a high-profile clash in early 2026 involving accusations of propaganda, calls for federal intervention, and a heated exchange over the role of late-night satire. We're not going to play. Do we have to play? All right, we'll play it.
Last night, America's Mayor Rudy Giuliani rose from the grave to weigh in on the ongoing drama involving me.
Dad, I want you, if you don't have it, I want you to dig out the one.
Hey, it went away when I tried to make it play full screen. Okay, good enough. Folks, we can't play it anyway because, and we've shown this before, the things that Kimmel says after that are actually far more offensive. He talks about Rudy Giuliani and plastic phallic objects. If you don't know what that is, go check out the thesaurus and see what it says. But Jimmy Kimmel makes all kinds of lewd, crude, and vile jokes about America's mayor. And it's just too much. It doesn't matter if you disagree with the politics. It's just too much. When speaking about the Giuliani news, the comedian accurately quipped, when I read this, I said, I wonder if they'll try to blame this on me. And then sure enough, he continued, one of these podcast bozos points to a joke I made about Rudy on Thursday about him being a vampire and then suggests I might actually have some inside knowledge of what's going on in Trump Town there. After a Newsmax panelist claimed he was operating under the gauze of comedy, which he may have been saying the guise of comedy, of course, maybe with an accent, Kimmel performed a bit standing under a literal giant sheet of gauze held by stagehands. You know what? I think that'll do. I think that's plenty on the story. Culture, I'll go to you first on this one. I think Jimmy Kimmel is trying to be fired. I think he wants to be fired. I think it's good for his career to be fired because then he's a martyr and he goes to CNN or MS Now or he goes to somewhere else that wants to pay him big time. And he's seen as, a real cause, a beacon fighting for the, not the right, but for the left. And I think he's going to leave Disney with no option. I think this is going to continue to get worse and worse. And instead of comedy, every night's going to be, hey, you made a death joke about an elderly person. Attack them even more for the critics who come at you. And that's not funny. And this is what Disney is stuck with this man.
Well, and I think, adding a little additional context, that Colbert was actually encouraged to go more political the last several years, which is what led to his downfall as well. I think that Kimmel's only way to get headlines or attention is to do these extreme things. It's why we also have a rise in nuisance streamers, which I'm tired of. It's like if you are counter to existing cultural norms.
Does that make Kimmel nuisance late night?
Yeah, he's a nuisance streamer at this point. Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
When I write my book on the history of late night, it's going to go from Tommy Newsom to Jimmy Nuisance.
There you go. Perfectly done. My goodness, Lou, you're a genius. Speaking of
has an annoying patient, I also think they are a nuisance streamer as well.
Yes. Yeah, no, indeed. And look, I
had a bad joke in there.
It was fine. I don't think it was that bad, but I do think this show's bad. And Jimmy's not been funny for a long time. I can't wait for Wizard's take on this because I really feel like Kimmel what was going to be just a placeholder in this last year of his contract. We get rid of Colbert on like May 21st, but we have a whole nother year of this numbskull.
Well, here's the thing, Wiz. I think this is going to keep escalating. I don't think we're anywhere close to as bad as Kimmel can get. And he's already so indecent that we can't play the clips on the channel. Like, he's so bad on network TV, he's beyond what we're allowed to play on YouTube.
Incendiary is the word that came to mind when we were talking about the Rudy thing, which he is. What he says is incendiary. But I look at this Kimmel thing in two ways. Either he's smart and he knows what he's doing, or he's an idiot and he's so making him so arrogant that it'll be his downfall.
Let's split the baby. What if he's an idiot and his wife is the genius who knows what she's doing?
Well, then this is the best way forward. If late night is fading out just naturally, and they refuse to acknowledge, just like we know with the Disney company, they refuse to acknowledge that there's a possibility of them being wrong. They're morally virtuous. They're smarter than you. They know better than you. They know what you need to do, how you need to live your life. Okay, well, if late night is fading out and they've recognized that late night's fading out, but they still think that they're correct, then the best way for him to leave is to be fired in the biggest explosion possible. Because in today's social media age, going out in a big explosion of fire, it would be like Jimmy Kimmel walking away from an explosion and not looking at it. Like cool guys don't look at explosions kind of thing. And it would springboard his career in or what he believes could springboard his career into new levels. I have to think that that's what they're doing, because otherwise this makes no sense. If I was Jimmy and I looked at the ratings of the show and I saw that no one is watching me and I'm making all of this, these are things this would keep me up at night. I wouldn't be able to sleep knowing how much I'm failing. I don't like failing. When I know something's not working, I change it personally. You know, maybe it's just me. Maybe that's a lost virtue, right? But if I'm Jimmy Kimmel and I see the ratings are this bad on my show and I'm making all this money and I have factual proof, it's not feelings, it's facts now, that the company is burning millions of dollars on me, that keeps me up at night. So the only thing Jimmy can do is probably, if I'm him, go out big, get fired, and turn into the ultimate political martyr.
Yep, that's it. And Lou, to Wiz's point, neither Colbert or Kimmel are number one in late night.
No,
but they are listed often as being number one and number two for 11:35 p.m. And every time, if I'm Kimmel, if we have to stoop that specific to get me into the number two spot, number two at 11:35 p.m. Man, that would hurt my ego. I just couldn't stand it if I was Kimmel to be second at 11:35.
You guys, you and Wiz, you suffer from a terrible, awful, outmoded disease called integrity
and logic.
I thought you were going to say hope.
No, this guy, when you say he's sitting around making all this money and he realizes he's failing, no, he isn't failing. He's making all this money. That's the only way.
Yeah.
Tell me I'm a failure as I sit in my multi-zillion-dollar home in Southern California and the world talks about me every time I fart.
Talk about the money for a minute, though, Lou. So he's going to enter into his next contract. He does whatever it is it's not technically against the rules because it's political, but it crosses the line enough. Disney has to fire him. He gets to keep all the contract money, and then he's playing to get the next
and
big
his
deal.
Wife will keep her contract money, and I'm sure several other favored nations execs or writers or whatever will get paid.
So does he get the most money if he gets fired for something
he gets the money anyway. It's a question, does he have to work for it?
No, I mean the next spot that he goes to, does he position himself to make more money if he he's fired as a martyr?
Oh, sure.
Well, there's the answer then.
Sure.
Rock, meet, hard place, Disney. You're stuck. This guy's going to find a way to get fired.
Yeah,
All right.
Disney's only sensible choice is to say we should stop shooting ourselves in the foot and let somebody else take over.
Right. Lou, you've
also been emboldened.
All the rest of us, we like to talk about it. We like to know about it. But you have been at the highest levels. So, Lou, I know, Mr. Humility. Lou, if you were advising Disney, as you have done with other companies, if you were advising Disney what to do over the next year with Kimmel, what do you do?
Well, you certainly get him off ABC if you care about ABC. If you don't, if you're secretly looking to sell it,
well, that's
that's another story. But see, if you're going to sell ABC, you still got to get rid of him first. Just like, as I said, when Barry Weiss took over CBS, they got rid of the 60 Minutes idiots first. She didn't want to be the one who pulled the trigger on that.
Yeah, they got some more, let me tell you.
Yeah, so but if you're Disney, like you say, you stick him on Hulu and forget about it. And he probably quits before because he doesn't want to do it. He makes some kind of a deal to compromise on the money to walk away and be free to do something else.
Right. The amazing thing here is we're in a situation where Disney has every interest in the world in not having Kimmel do crazy things. And Kimmel has every interest in the world in doing crazy things, to the point that Disney will have to divorce this relationship. So,
well, see, and that's Jimmy's trump card. If they come and say, look, you can't, please, you got to get it. And he says, so fire me.
Right. Fire me.
So fire me.
I get my money, and I get more money on the way.
Yeah.
Guys, I could get used to these Wednesday morning live streams. This has been a lot of fun. We're not going to do that because, I have to actually get stuff done beyond just live streaming every once in a while. But this has been very enjoyable. Thank you to all three of you for being here today.
Are we going to do this again this evening or not?
Yes, we are, Lou. We never.
Okay. I wanted to know only because after the this evening show is, of course, the fabulous return after a week's hiatus due to health of the Hollywood Backlot with Lou and you and Culture.
Right.
And
Wonderful.
so we'll be there at 11 o'clock to discuss all that stuff you think I know.
That's right, folks. 9 p.m. Eastern tonight starts the pro show, and then 11 p.m. we redirect to the Hollywood Backlot with Lou and you over on that pod place. Folks, please subscribe to that pod place. Help support the channel. Lauren Connor is working very hard to grow that into a phenomenal thing. And of course, Culture and Lou are part of the Wednesday night crew there. Folks, we also will be releasing the info on the brand new game. Early access beta is in place, and you all can go play it. Mobile version comes out later this week as we continue to move towards a summer release in full. And when we release it in full, yes, we will still have special features just for members of the channel to enjoy.
Pro, someday when this empire of yours gets so big that you'd like to sort of take an emeritus relaxation position.
I can't
There's
imagine.
There's some guy floating around on a boat named Chapek who might take the job.
The Chapek Archipelago is calling my name. TB2, no, that Alf song has always been an earworm. I kill me. Snell's word for 5. Disney should take a page from Netflix MGM because with fan input, they added Cringer, or is it Kringer, to the MGM logo. Which one is that, Culture? Do you know? Kringer or Cringer? Cringer. Thank you. And
they should put Jimmy Kimmel in there instead of the lion and rewrite it as Ass Gracia Ass.
Battle Cat, right?
Battle Cat, Cringer.
Battle Cat, yes. Okay.
Oh, right.
He-Man.
He-Man.
That's not Snarf, though. No. Packing Protons.
Snarf.
For Galaxy's Edge. I would have loved to have been there when they invented Snarf and somebody said, can we make the most annoying character in the history of entertainment?
It was great.
I love Snarf.
Yeah.
Somebody said, that stupid Smurf show, man, they use Smurf for expletives. Can we snarf that up? Yeah, let's do it. Back to Protons for 5. For Galaxy's Edge, can't they close off one section at a time and make that Hoth, Tatooine, etc., without closing the whole thing down? Packing, they could, but that would cost money. And Star Wars has to make money before they're willing to spend more money on Star Wars again. Tell that to Jon Favreau.
Tell it to the guys in the office building that used to be a hotel just over the fence.
Yeah. That could be Hoth one day, but I don't think so. Woofle the Crime Dog for 225. Hi, diddly ho, neighborinos. Shaking my head, YouTube. Or as Homer would say, YouTube, what are you doing to me? No. By the way, I want to give a shout out to Drunk 3PO Jay for getting remonetized on all of his channels as he so
good.
Deserved. That's right. And Glade Ribbon for 5. Finishing us off, I will take 2 Snarfs, Snarf, and a Thundercat over any team with Orko on it. Oh, man.
That sounds like the order at the bar at the Galaxy's Edge thing.
You know,
two Smurfs in it. What do you have, partner?
All right, folks, it's time to send you on to That Park Place Live, where coverage of the Disney stock continues right along pace. Yep, it's a great day for Josh tomorrow, but he needs a lot more days just like that. Will they be singing his praise in 7 months? We'll see. But for now, Wall Street says there's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow.
The mainstream media just can't understand how it is we continue to do what we do. They don't realize that we are powered by you, and you are
1.21 gigawatts! 1.21 gigawatts!
Folks, we've still got decades and decades left in the can. It drives the mainstream mad.
But it make you feel
It's a